Good evening, I'm Andy James. I am the Tube King of the London Underground. Now, I am a 5-time former London Underground world record holder, New York, and I currently hold Paris Metro. Also, that would make me a pretty much expert in the field of Tube Challenge and Tube Challenge routes. Now, today I'm going to critique and review a route I saw online for the Tube Challenge. It's from this guy here called Goran Newson. So I'm going to let him explain his route to you, and I will cut in at parts and leave the actual where he's telling the truth and where he's telling a load of porkies.
Hello, now you've probably seen the title of the video and you might be thinking to yourself, oh, is Goran doing the big tube challenge? And I'm going to answer that question straight away. The answer is no, I'm not. So it only take around 16 hours, which is, at the moment, it is 2 hours better.
So he believes he's found a route which is about 16 hours, which is 2 hours less than the current record. Let's see if that's true.
Than the current world record, which is about 18 hours. Okay, so I thought I may as well show.
So here is the start of the route.
The same place as the labyrinth route, which is sort of the expected optimal route, okay, at the moment. Okay, although with the Battersea Power Station extension, there's a slight difference, and that does come into here, along with what I think there are maybe six and a half. Okay, you get the 516 Metropolitan Line service out of Chesham Station. Take it one stop down to Chalfont and Latimer, where you hop to the opposite platform and get the 527 service to Amersham, where you have to wait about 15 minutes for the 547 Metropolitan Line service to take you south and down.
So a lot of what he's talking about there is correct, but Chesham start is actually 0512 at the moment, and it might be 0515 in winter. Yes, you would get across at Chalfont quite easily, and you would get into Amersham at 0531. Actual train that he's talking about is 0543, not 0547, and it would get you into Rickmansworth at 0558.
Towards London. Now, this is where the first major difference is between my route and the Metropolitan Line service that goes direct from Rickmansworth to Croxley and Watford via the North Curve. Okay, the North Curve is this under you. So you arrive at Watford at where is it? 6:16. Okay, which allows you to get the 6:20 Metropolitan Line service south.
Now, what he just said is correct. You would get into Watford at 0616, and you would leave Watford at 0620. Now, I'll let him explain the next bit.
Out of Watford and down to Harrow on the Hill. Now, this is the second major difference, okay, because the old route would have you get off one stop earlier at North Harrow and run to Rayners Lane. But I looked it up, and that run is about 15 minutes. Okay,
So he's talking a load of bollocks here. It's 0.9 miles from North Harrow to Rayners Lane. Now, even an unfit person would probably walk or run that in about 12 minutes.
I'm talking 15 minutes if you're fit and healthy. Okay, so yeah, and you don't. If you're like me, you don't want to be doing a lot of running. Okay.
So he's already admitted that he's not a runner, and he likes to take buses. This is where half of his route planning is a little bit flimsy.
But if you stay on one stop further to Harrow on the Hill, then there is the option of getting any of 5 buses. So that is the 114, 140, 395, H10, or SL9 bus from bus stop B.
Now, he's going to take the bus from Harrow on the Hill to South Harrow. He thinks that most tube challengers don't know about this bus. We do. We just know that we can still make the train at Rayners Lane.
Okay, at Harrow bus station, and that will take you straight to South Harrow. Okay, where I worked this out, you actually do end up getting on the same service you would have got at Rayners Lane. So you're not.
So he's talking the truth here. You would get on the same train as you would get out of Rayners Lane, but it's not the train that he believes.
You're not exactly saving any time, but you are saving a bit of energy, as in you don't have to do that run. So, I would argue that's a good thing. Anyway, so you get to South Harrow, get the 6:43 Piccadilly line.
Now, there is no way you would make an 0643 South Harrow out when you've got into Harrow on the Hill at 0640. The bus will take at least 6 to 7 minutes, at least, to get to South Harrow. So there's no way in hell he knows what he's talking about.
Train down to Ealing Common, which is here, and you're expected to arrive about 7:09.
Now, he's got this completely wrong. He would never make the 0642 out of South Harrow. He's more likely to get the 0652 out of South Harrow than will get into Ealing Common at 0712.
The next District line service takes you to Ealing Broadway. Doesn't arrive until 7:14, so it gives you about 5 minutes at Ealing Common.
He's talking bollocks again. There is no 0714 Ealing Broadway train. The actual train arrives at 0717.
Great opportunity for a toilet break on the.
How bad is this guy's bladder? Only 2 hours into the tube challenge, and already he needs a piss.
Platform. As in, use the toilets that are there, that are on the platform. Don't just relieve yourself on the platform.
That's probably good advice from Goran, because electrified rails and piss don't usually mix.
Don't do that. Okay. So you don't know that. 7:14 District line to Ealing Broadway. Run for the Central line, which is supposed to depart at 7:18.
He would never make an 0717 into Ealing Broadway because it doesn't exist. The actual arrival time is 0721 and a half, which means he would never make his 0721 out of Ealing Broadway. He's more likely to get an 0725. And of course, you can run from Ealing Common to Ealing Broadway, or even indeed take the bus.
About a minute after you get in at 7:17. Okay. And take that Central line all the way to Holland Park. Now this is third major difference, okay, because your old route would have you get off 2 stops earlier before heading back up towards West Ruislip. But I suggest staying on to Holland Park because I had a look at schedules, and later on when you're coming up from Wimbledon, which we will come to, okay, you do end up. It's a very tight connection to the Mildmay line service from West Brompton to Shepherd's Bush. It's a very tight connection there. So I recommend staying on to Holland Park. Okay, change for a West Ruislip train, which should be coming at 7:38. Take that to West Ruislip, gets you in at 8:06.
Again, he's talking absolute bollocks here. There is no 0806 arrival into West Ruislip, and leaving Holland Park at 0738, when you arrive at 0740 at the probably earliest, there's no way he'd make a West Ruislip train at 0806 because it doesn't exist. The next actual arrival is 0813.
And this is where things have been timed brilliantly, because there is a 278 bus that will take you.
Again, he's on the buses again. Does this man not know how to run?
Straight from West Ruislip station to either Ickenham or Hillingdon. Now I recommend staying on to Hillingdon bus stop is up here somewhere, okay, where the 278 stops. So you'd have to get off here and then run down Glebe Avenue to Ickenham Station, which, yeah, you can do it, sure, but I recommend staying on to Hillingdon because that drops you off here in this little mini bus station type thing, I guess. Okay, and you can run along the walkway and pop down into Hillingdon's.
So, what he's talking about here, I don't really know. Going one more stop on a bus will not make any difference to catching the Ickenham or Hillingdon. It would still be the same train. It's pointless what he's talking about.
Station, and I think you've got more chance of making the train okay, that takes you to Uxbridge than had you gone to Ickenham. Really, to be honest, it's up to you. Okay. So,
I should point out here, he's also missed out a possible bus direct from West Ruislip all the way to Uxbridge.
you're at Hillingdon. Okay, there should be an 8:16 service to Uxbridge. Okay, gets you in at 8:18.
There is no chance he'd make an 08:16 from Hillingdon when his arrival into West Ruislip is 08:13. The 08:06 does not exist.
Another opportunity for a toilet break because the next one doesn't. The next
I would suggest you get some nappies. It'd be far easier.
Metropolitan line service doesn't leave until 8:26. When you get on that, 8:26 over to Preston.
Now, the working timetables would probably say he'd get into Uxbridge at 08:27. There is in fact an 08:27 and a half, which is close to what he says here, but there is no 08:26.
Road. This is the next major difference because the old route would have you go one stop back up to Northwick Park and use the OSI to Kenton, but because of the timing of this route again, okay, what it means, okay, if I get up, okay, then there is a 223 bus which stops outside Preston Road, and that will take you down Colton Avenue East, okay, straight to South Kenton in about 5 minutes, where you can pick up a Bakerloo line train and go up 2 stops to Harrow and Wealdstone, and I believe that does save you about 10 minutes.
Now that is the biggest load of wank bollocks I've ever heard in my entire life. So when you're arriving at Preston Road on the tube and you see the tube on the other platform going back to Northwick Park, you'd be stupid to go out the station and catch a bus 223. Harrow on the Hill, even going there, would be easier to get to Harrow and Wealdstone than taking a bus 223 to South Kenton.
You get to Harrow and Wealdstone and you're able to get the 908 out, whereas if you had used the OSI between Northwood Park and Kenton, I think you would have had to wait for the next Bakerloo line train.
This is again where he's talking absolute bollocks. He does not know how to route plan. If you had actually caught the train going straight back, it's only 400 metres to Kenton from Northwick Park. Even a cripple could walk that distance in a good time.
Take yourself down towards Ashington Castle. Okay, so I think again you're saving yourself about 10-15 minutes. Okay, now it's at 9:08. So I have dubbed this Bakerloo train the breakfast train because you're.
Now, I'd agree, you'd probably make the 0908 train out of Harrow and Wealdstone. It would be a lot tighter than he actually thinks. But I still think you'd make it for an average true challenger. And here's what he's talking about, the breakfast train. It does make a lot of sense. That is a good idea to take in a lot of food. I wouldn't take in a lot of water though, because you're going to suffer for it later in the day.
But on the train for almost an hour from not having to do the run. Okay. Southwark, okay, and if you've watched my South London Challenge video, which you can find over there.
So he's explaining going up all the way down the Bakerloo, down to Elephant Castle, and up to London Bridge. For some reason, he's prattling on about Borough to Southwark. No tube challenger would ever do this on a tube challenge. The London Bridge connection from the Northern to the Jubilee is way easier and much easier, and you couldn't even go a train up by doing a run from Borough to Southwark.
Somewhere, okay. If you have watched that, you'll know I did do that run in that video, and it was a run. It was it was far. It was further than I thought it would be. Okay, which is why I think staying on to London Bridge is slightly better because I don't know whether you'd make an earlier train or not. Okay, but you do save a bit of energy from not. You can get the 10:05 then from London Bridge. Get in at 10:06. Get the 10:06 Jubilee line train to.
So he believes that you can make a cross platform in 0 minuter. This is possible, but very unlikely. You're more likely to miss a train. But don't worry, he'd make West Ham by 10:28.
To West Ham, which arrives at 10:22, and then you've got about 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes until the 10:28 C2C service, which will whiz you straight up to Upminster, okay, skipping out all the stops on the district line, and that will be a good opportunity as well for another toilet break because all C2C service.
Even though his bladder is the world's worst in the entire world, I agree with him here. The C2C is a good idea to take a toilet break.
Trains have toilets on them, so use the toilet on the train. Worth noting that the Jubilee line train, because it's rapid transport on the underground, you'll only be waiting a minute or two at this sort of time, and so what that means is that even if you do miss it, you should still make that C2C service. So you're not losing any time there. Okay, so take that up to Upminster. Okay, when you get in about 10:41. Okay, and then there is a 10:42 district line train which departs.
There is no 10:42. It's actually 10:44. But he's right, you would arrive at 10:41.